Unfortunately, we lost the zone, but it was very fun. So I don't really have any like regrets or disappointments with the zone. As you can see, 77 or 2377 locked down both of these passes to the next zone. So we're basically locked out of this zone entirely. So we will enter through our allies pass over here into the next zone. But yeah, it is obviously unfortunate that we could not win the zone or at least get one of the passes to enter through here. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed this pass opening a lot. It's very fun to play actually. And I think it was very fun to watch as well, which a lot of people were looking forward to after 960's last KVK against 2049, which is very disappointing. So what I want to talk about is, how I did myself, how I performed in this KVK so far, as well as, 960's performance, which is going to be a little briefer, but I want to go more into detail on how I did myself this KVK. One more thing which I want to mention actually is I wasn't able to stream much of this pass opening, unfortunately. And the reason being is my internet was not particularly good. As you can see, the stream only lasted 3 hours and like 6 minutes, and then it just sort of ended. I didn't even realize it ended for some time. My internet just cut out and it went to my phone's hotspot. So unfortunately, I didn't feel like I wanted to stream this whole pass opening on my phone's hotspot data. So yeah, I just decided not to stream. I just played on my phone's hotspot. My router was not having it, so it is what it is. Hopefully it'll be fixed by the next pass opening, which is I believe next Tuesday. Pass 5 will open next Tuesday. So yeah, sorry that I didn't get to stream this much, but I still want to talk about how I did because I did pretty good in my opinion. So we'll take a look at that right now. So actually I want to go to this one. So how I did, this is a site which tracks like the kingdom stats, and you can sort of see by like each kingdom, or each kingdom in this KVK you can also see if you do like no filters, you go like all, you can see like all the kingdoms and all the players in each kingdom, how they did. But we're only going to look at our camp or 960 because I want to see how I did compared to the rest of the players in 960. And you can see that I'm sitting at, there's Pluto up there, a little above me. I'm at 89 in KP. So 1.15 billion, which is pretty decent, I'd say, right? For free to play, which basically means you have no crystal tech. Obviously my account is not crazy good on armaments or gear like some of the other spenders. I would say this is a pretty respectable amount to do in the first zone of this KVK. You can see I'm above, assuming a main alliance has like 150 main players, I'm above 60 GT accounts, which is respectable, definitely respectable for free to play. So we're gonna look at how I did that, obviously, as well. So these are my stats before and then after the pass opening. And I forgot to calculate the stats, so give me a sec. The T4 kills I gained, 2.03 mil T4 kills. T5 kills, as you can assume, against 2377, majority T5, 56.759 mil kills. So total kills in this zone alone, just the first zone, 58.789 mil kills. And of course, I know some people might not believe this stat. I can show you something, which I think might be helpful. 960 recently got this nice new feature. You can see it's like a bot, which sort of calculates your stats. So I'm going to use it for myself. You just type bio and it sort of pulls up all the stats you got this KVK. Like you can see your power, KP, kills, even tracks the chests you buy, all this sort of good stuff. You can see resources gathered. This all changes, and leadership can sort of track your performance based on that. So you can sort of see mine now, because some people might doubt my kill points, which I gained 1.16 billion right there. You can sort of see the T4 kills I just showed you, 2 mil T4 and 56.76. I believe that matches approximately what I just gained. Yeah, approximately 57.76 mil kills. So it rounds up. And yeah, pretty accurate, as you can see. This is a stat tracker, which our leadership has as well. In case you didn't maybe trust what I showed you, you can see I don't have any chests I bought. But yeah, that's my stats so far. This is a pretty nice feature, which we just got, this bot, which we just got this off season actually. So it sort of shows like everything. If you're curious about some of the data I have as well, you can look around, but not that much to show right now. Now I want to head to marches, what marches I use, but before that, I'm going to show you one important thing. So this is on my thumbnail as well. You might have seen it. So in the kill event, this enemy elimination event, it's a 2-day event, I believe. This is how many kill points I got during that 2-day span. So pretty decent amount, which means I was averaging about 500 million kill points every day. With free-to-play tech, I'd say that's pretty reasonable. Well, maybe more than reasonable, pretty good. But Yeah, it's not bad. This is definitely my highest I've ever done in this kill event, enemy elimination event. I had done 882 million when I was in 1235. I believe this was 6 KVKs ago, so about maybe 2 years ago. This is the most I've done. Ironically, Lupe's is now in My Kingdom, 1960, and Yar XYZ is now in 2377. So, reunion of some of these old members I played with in my last kingdom. But yeah, this is my old record, which I now beat in this KVK. I think I can actually beat this in the next zone, or maybe even Kingsland if we get to Kingsland, because this is in pass 4, right? My tech is at my absolute worst at pass 4, so I can definitely beat this in I think next zone. But yeah, pretty big numbers from the big whales and spenders. But I'm doing my part. We're doing my part. I'm ranked 170, which is not too bad. Not too bad overall. Now let's come down to my marches. Oh, my speed ups. Oh shoot. All right, guys, don't bully me. Don't bully me. I used 900 days of speed ups. Okay, you might be wondering, how did I use 900 days of speed ups? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? So we're gonna start with that. Okay, so I'm using mixed T4 and mixed T5 on each of my marches. So you can see here, I'm using 100 and, oh, it's because I don't have expansion, but I use 125k T4. I don't want to pop an expansion to show you, but 125k T4 in each march, which is quite a lot. And I think that did end up costing me a lot of speeds to heal a lot of T4. So yeah, I did use a lot of speed ups. Unfortunately, it looks like, just because I was mixing, and T4 is a lot more expensive to heal. Not expensive, but like expensive speed ups wise to heal compared to T5. So honestly, my trades are not bad. I can show you my trades actually in my sort of autark thing. Let me show you that. So my trades are negative, but on the autark thing, it's showing positive. Let me show you here. So kill points, you can see on 183 in this KVK. Heal points, 353. So you can see the ratio is not terrible, but the reason it's not showing like that is because T4 counts for less healing in the sort of heal point category. So I'm technically not trading super well because T4 is given like much less points in terms of healing. So this is sort of inaccurate. We can actually see this on Pro Kingdoms, how I did, but it's not super pretty. Just letting you know, there's a new feature on Pro Kingdoms called Deads and Tankings. So you can sort of just look up my name like this. Socks are great. And you can sort of see, you can enter. So the KP gain, oh, this one, sorry. The KP gain with respect to KP loss. You can see I am trading negative technically. So the tanking score is negative. If it's over 100%, that means you're negative. You preferably want to be below 100%. But, you know, I was mixing. I don't think I was trading particularly terrible. Most of my trades, I would say, are close to like 1.3 to 1 or 1.4 to 1. But just because I was using T4, I was taking a lot more sevs or severely wounded. So yeah, it's unfortunate that I'm technically trading negative. But at the same time, I'm getting so much kill points that I really do not care about my ratios. T4 is a lot more cheaper to heal on resources than T5. So that's the reason I'm mixing. As you can see, we use a lot of resources. So let me briefly show that as well. So you can see the resources I used were 26.6 billion in just the first zone. So pretty crazy amount. I have 11 farms, all City Hall 25. I'm also borrowing 9 of my friends' farms. So I requested that some of my friends borrow some farms, and they gave me some to farm with. So I'm now using 20 farms to farm with in this KVK. As you can see, obviously it did save me a lot of gold mixing T4, and that was my ultimate goal. I wanted to save more gold because gold is a big problem to farm. But yeah, we did use a lot of resources still. But yeah, unfortunately I am trading negative, but it's not super big deal for me, honestly. I don't particularly mind. This is a little misleading, like I said. But yeah, it's not that big of an issue for me anyways. Let's go back to here. So 900 days of speed ups. As you can see, I had 5K before. Now I have 4.1K. A little unfortunate, but it's okay. I'm in 960. Just click on some chests and I'm back to normal. Let's come down to my marches. I used this KVK. So I had 5 marches. I can actually show them before we get started. So my 5 marches are, as you can see right here in my presets, Herman Zug, Ragnar, Scipio, Hua Arthur, Luce Alex, and Nev Joan. So pretty 5, I'd say, standard marches. Maybe some commanders you have different in order of primary and secondary, but I'm going to show you how I did with those 5. So Lou Alex, I'm going to start with that one first. This is Orleans, the Orleans KVK. So I have auxiliary skills. As you can see, I was using Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus gives me 10% health and 15% march speed. If this is your first time seeing auxiliary skills, think of them as similar to support skills, but it's like more of an Orleans feature. And basically the auxiliary skills are, you unlock more of them as more passes or more chronicles open and progress in the game. So it's similar to support skills, but they're not tied to bastions. You basically unlock them as you progress in KVK. So the 3rd auxiliary skills and the 4th auxiliary skills will unlock later in KVK. I think we get one more before pass 5, the next pass, and one more maybe early or before Kingsland, I believe, or maybe early late in pass 5. So they unlock periodically, but just think of them as like more damage. Just, you can equip 3. Obviously in support skills you can only equip 2 per march, so they're more damage, more KP you can basically gain. Think of it like that, similar to support skills. Anyways, so for Luce Alex, you can see my kills I gained before. This is a before and this is an after. So did pretty good work, I'd say, for that zone. 12.452 million kills. If you're wondering how I got this number, subtract the kills after minus the kills before and then multiply that by 2, because the kills are split between the primary and the secondary commander. So this is just the kills for one commander, not the whole march. Think of it like that. So the commanders are split between Luce and Alex both. Okay, so that's how much I did with Luce Alex. All my marches are also expertised or maxed, okay? Nevsky Joan, all reliable march. I'm still using it after quite a while. So on this march, I had Con skill. Con skill, as you can see, reduces the rage by 100. So this is something probably a lot of you guys will not have. I got very lucky with my Con somehow. So it's not likely that every player will have Con's skill. Maybe old accounts will have it, but I got really lucky. You can see right there, 1511 Con. If you don't have Con for the first zone, there's another option, which I'd say is probably decent as well, the Pelagius skill. I believe it's a second skill, which is 15% attack and defense. So if you don't have Con, I'd say this is a pretty solid option as well. But Con skill is honestly really good. The 100% rage reduction on active skills is pretty good. You might be wondering why I didn't put this on Huo Arthur. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I think this is pretty good on Nev Joan. So yeah, the 100 rage requirement is the main reason to use Con. Before and after. So you can see the kills before and after. So 11.387 million kills. Decent. Huo Arthur. So here, I'm using on Huo Arthur, I'm using the Mehmed. Hope I pronounced it right. Mehmed? I don't know. Mehmed auxiliary skill. Probably everyone should have this as well as Pyrrhus because they're gold key commanders. 20% attack, 20% skill damage. I don't think you need to use Con skill on Huo. It's okay to use more damage in my opinion. So for this, I would prefer to use Mehmed on Huo, Arthur, and if you have Nev Joan, I'd prefer to use Con or Pelagius. But yeah, I think this is just better damage amplifier. In my opinion, you don't need another 100 rage requirement, less on Huo Arthur in my opinion. So that's why I decided to do that. And you can see the before and the after. I obviously just, I haven't been using Huo as long as my Nevsky Joan March, so it has less kills. But it did pretty solid in this zone, 12.853 million kills. We're going to sort of see how this all looks later. Herman. So I like Herman primary, just for the extra march speed. Support tree is really nice. A little tankier, a little faster. And you also have this support skill for Thutmose, another gold key commander. So 15% attack and 10% march speed. And while out of territory, gain 15% more damage. Okay, so pretty good skill to get. In this zone, this is probably the best skill you can get for archers. 10% march speed is very solid as well. And let's see how the march did before and after. And we can sort of see that we're at 11.346 million kills with that march. Here is our last march. Ragnar primary with Scipio secondary. Honestly, pretty underwhelming how it did in my opinion, or just based off the numbers. The traits on this march felt decent, but it didn't get much kills it looks like. I was using Martel's skill, another gold key commander. So all the commanders I used so far are pretty attainable except Khan. So the last 4 commanders have all been gold key except Khan. So you can see 20% defense, 20% health, 20% march. Very, very good auxiliary skill. And you can see the kills are actually the lowest I got on my Ragnar Scipio March. So I do believe we might need to change the order. So I was using Scipio primary with Ragnar secondary last KVK, and it did pretty decent. I'm going to probably switch back to the next zone. Now we're going to look at some numbers, okay? I do like to do numbers. For those of you guys that don't know, I'm a math teacher, so like number crunching. Not too much, but you know, here and there. Who Arthur? I'm just listing the kills which I showed above in order from greatest to least. So who Arthur did the most? Ragnar Scipio did the least somehow. I'm not sure how, because most of my reports on Ragnar Scipio look decent, but I guess not. And this does add up to the total amount of kills I have. And yeah, who Arthur did the best? Lou Alex the second best, Nev Joan third, Herman Zug fourth, and Ragnar Scipio at last, unfortunately. And if you're wondering like a kill percentage by March, so by March I mean I divided the total number of kills per March by the total kills. So who Arthur did 22% roughly, Lou Alex 21, Nev Joan 19.4, Herman Zug 19.3, and Ragnar Scipio at 18. So Nev Joan and Herman Zug are pretty close. You can also see they're really close. But yeah, who Arthur did about as good as I expected. I expected it to be the best. Lou Alex, I didn't expect to be this good, but I guess the insta proc is really good this KVK. There's a lot of back and forth fighting. Like the field fighting was very reliant on just hitting the enemy and running away, then hitting the enemy and running away. So I probably got a lot of insta procs on Alex. So yeah, but this is how I did so far this KVK. 58 mil kills, KP gain of about, I think I said at the beginning, 1.15 billion. Sorry, right here, 1.15 billion. And yeah, that's how I did in terms of each March. And Crystal Tech is definitely something I feel like a lot of people ask me about a lot. As free to play, you do not get very good Crystal Tech. So you can see a picture of how it looked on the 27th or the day before. So you can sort of see T1 tech is done. A lot of people ask me about this. I'll just show it. Nothing. You can see I just have the bare minimums. T2 tech all at 1, Swift marching 2 at 3 because you need that to progress further. Then I go into eco tech a little bit. So I do treaties 2 to 7, cultural exchange 2 to 7, skill flow operations 2 to 6. This is needed plunder 2 and Crocus gift 2. I think I missed one screenshot which I'm going to show later. But the most important part of the tech is after this. You can see my research center is at 20. You can see the date also matches 228. So yeah, that's the amount of resources I started with as well. That's just my crystal tech. I had 15 million crystals spent by the first pass. You can see my crystal tech right now is also not particularly good. I'm a little further down in the tree, right? I'm a T3 tech, but you can see this is the most important thing for free to play to work on. Call to arms 1 to 6. Because once you get to this point, then you go back and you work on everything else and then try to max call to arms 1. But as free to play, you should just be aiming to get up to here, right up here, where I showed you in my previous screenshots. This is as far as you get as free to play. Okay? That's as far as you get by the first pass. Obviously, you can go further later on. Then you go further down the tech tree, go through T3 tech, and you work through a little bit of this tech here. But you don't get very far as free to play. Like you can see my current crystal spent, it's like 2 days after the pass opens, is sitting at a very sad amount. Let me show you. 17.5 million. Okay, 17.5 million, and we're 15 days into KVK. Okay, so it's pretty sad how bad free to play tech is, but that's just the nature of the game. And yeah, hope I showed everything for my individual performance. Oh, I also popped this 30-day Zenith Skin. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. So I do have a 30-day Zenith Skin. I'm going pretty much all out this KVK. So I did use this 30-day Zenith Skin. This is the 12% all troop type defense skin. As you can see, it's temporary, so it's not a permanent skin. But the last when the Zenith Skin came, I did push for the 30-day skin. I think it was like top 50 gets the 30-day Zenith Skin. So yeah, I'm using this for this KVK. 12% defense is obviously probably the best in the game currently. If you don't have that, obviously Twilight Falls is still pretty decent as a temporary use. But Zenith skins are obviously what you want to aim for. Obviously not attainable by every player, but you know, if you can get a 30-day Zenith skin, you can go crazy for 1 KVK like I'm doing right now. And lastly, I think this is the last thing I want to show regarding my sort of account, or like how I did this KVK. So I've been making pretty big upgrades in my gear as well as armaments. You can sort of see sitting at 4 hunters. So I have hunter on every, well, not every march, but I have destructive on one march and a hunter on all the other marches. So destructive obviously goes on my arc formation march, my Luce Alex. So going down the list, this is my Huo Arthur march. This is my Nev Joan march. This is my Lu Alex march. This is my Scipio Ragnar march, or Ragnar Scipio. And this is my Hermann Zook march. So you can see almost all gold on all marches. Obviously, I still have the purple weapon, Delanes, which I need to fix. I'm keeping the purple pants. I mentioned many times I do not like the legendary pants for infantry. I like this flag just because of the extra march speed. But yeah, this is more or less pretty standard. I do have a gear guide where I talk about why I made these choices and why I built this gear this way. But yeah, armaments are all pretty good. I'm not going to read off every like inscription, but you know, I have 4 hunters, pretty good stats, 1 destructive. I would say what I'm aiming for right now is just trying to transmute the archer defense on maybe my cav stats, my archer health on my infantry stats. But overall, these are pretty solid stats, I would say. Like I have a lot of 10, 11% stats. I want to say for armaments, you should be aiming for at least, I would say 30 to 35% stats, which includes inscriptions on each set. Obviously, for spenders, your goal should be higher, but for free to play, I'd say 30 to 35% stats, including inscriptions, is a pretty good start point for your armaments. And obviously, you want to build up, and you know, armaments are basically gambling, so just hope you get lucky. And yeah, that's how my gear and my armaments look. Obviously, you can see on my gear, I'm trying to tier 2 or iconic 2 most of my gear now at this point. You can see my weapons are all tier 2 at this stage. So we're slowly making upgrades as we go, but it is a grind. It is a grind. It's free to play. Now I'm sure everyone saw this, but this is like the mail which they sent out when we pull out of the zone. So we're going to discuss briefly just how 960 did in the zone, like our pull out of the zone. Obviously, it was unfortunate to lose. I was a little disappointed that we stopped fighting, even though I'm broke on resources. I wanted to keep fighting if possible. So as you can see, our territory was not the best. We lost both of the passes because I think we didn't drop forts, or there was some miscommunication maybe. But yeah, we lost both of the passes because we didn't drop forts, or we didn't have forts there. But yeah, we admitted we were a little arrogant. We underestimated 2377. And mad respect to 2377. They showed up and they performed really well in this zone. But yeah, they're going to obviously do all this sort of stuff. Fix, make changes. There's actually a voice call going on right now, but I wanted to record this right now because I had time. And yeah, hopefully it looks better in the next zone. I'm not going to read all this, but more or less it's just saying, you know, we'll do better. We need to do better because obviously people have high expectations for 960. So yeah, next zone will hopefully be better. So we can look at some of the biggest numbers. As you might expect, they are all from 1960 and 2377. I'm not sure even when we're going to see another. There's a 1365 player. So top 20 is all 960 and 2377, which, as you might expect, is more or less expected. We can scroll through some of the big names, and you can check this as well later. Prodigo, Cyborg, Al Haytham, the Ace, Genie's 2377 account. Genie also has an account in 960. Seawell, I'm not sure this is actually, but oh no, this is the guy with the Dark Vader profile picture. CO, Mr. Hope right there. So if anyone's wondering who Mr. Hope is, and there's Wildline down here as well. They did, I believe, drop around 500 mil power. I think 400, 500 mil power. Both of them dropped around the same amounts. So they still have a lot more power to drop. Addy, this is the crazy Korean player, I think. Yeah, very young account. This is a very young account. You can see the account age in 77. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Sorry. Josh. This is Kokoning. He's a picture of a chicken, like a KFC chicken guy on his profile picture. Lion. Ahmad. This is from the Dawn group. The Dawn group came from 2429 and they went to 2377. One member of the Dawn group. Blake, Osno. Then we get our 1365 players. So 1365 is still playing, so these numbers will change most likely. But our side is basically done. We pulled out. So our numbers won't change, but 1365, expect their numbers to go up a little bit. You can see Anglio has an account in 960, which he just brought over. Star Douglas, the first member from 1093 up here. Sky, Alexander again. This guy is pretty good for young Alexander again. Goldfish Kim. Goldfish Kim came recently from 1846. Lupe's I talked about, he came from 2359. I played with him now. There's our Genie. So this is our Genie 960. Not going to go through all the names. We're going to stop at 50. Goose, my boy Goose. And it looks like that's more or less it. So then we start getting more 1365 players. But yeah, there's J Tower. But yeah, pretty much as you might expect, this is a pretty hard fought zone. So that's like the sort of KP rankings based on like each player. And here's all the data which shows how the kingdoms have been doing in this KVK. So I wrote the camps, you can see here, I wrote the corresponding kingdoms. So 960 is Bourbon, 2377 is Auburn, 1093 is Brittany, Poitou is 1365, La Marche is 606, 2975 camp, and Picardy is the G3 camp, 1814 and most of they 1814, 1473, and 2941. So those are those guys. I couldn't fit them all in there. Obviously, they didn't have a fight. Like I said earlier, 606 and the G3s did not have a fight in their first zone. It was just these four kingdoms up here. So obviously 960 did perform the best in terms of kill points. You can see the stats here. It's pretty surprising still to me that 2377 took a lot more deaths than us. Actually 20 million, not a ton more deaths, but 20 million more deaths. 1365 I know is a very defensive kingdom. They do have a ton of farms. They had the highest domain power coming in here. So it is expected that 1365 has the highest, one of the higher amount of deaths. Their zone is still going on, like I mentioned. So expect the numbers from 1093 and 1365 to go up in the coming days. But yeah, it's mainly going to be 960 and 77. As you can see, we're top in the leaderboards after 2 days of pretty hard fighting. And then obviously we pulled out, 960 pulled out. So yeah, these are the stats so far. You can see 2377 does have more heals than us because we have more kill points. They do have more deads, as I mentioned. So it is pretty even so far, I'd say. We have more kill points, they have more deads, but they took more healing. For people that might not know, 2377 opted for 6 marches in this first zone. They pushed a lot of their members to get 6 marches, while GT was advocating more for pushing for healing tech and not going for 6 marches. So that's why 2377 had so many numbers. In addition to their, I believe they have 20 to 25 more players than us. That number might not be 100% accurate, but you know, it's around 20 extra players. They had a lot of marches on us. So once again, mad respect to 2377 for showing up and making this zone fun. 1093, like I said, 3065 numbers will go up, but they've done pretty well. You know, 1093 has been pretty good. I've been watching them fight, and 1093 has been doing pretty good as well. Not as many dead, so that's good. But obviously 1365 is a crazy amount of farms. So 1365 will probably not be taking many main deads in this zone. But yeah, this is more or less the data which we have so far. So 960 obviously on top with 225 billion kill points, 204 billion from 2377, 131 billion from 1093, and 119 billion from 1365. So pretty sizable amount of kill points. This is just the first zone, right? We still have one zone after this, and then Kingsland after. So these numbers will probably be crazy, honestly. So this is pretty intense. This is pretty intense, pretty fun KVK so far. I am very much looking forward to the next zone. Even though my resources are not looking so hot, we'll obviously prepare and be ready. So far, that is all I have for you guys regarding this zone. Hopefully, we get some good fights next week. And for anyone wondering what the rest of our sort of schedule looks like for the pass openings, make a note if you haven't already. We had pass 4. Today is, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday in game right now. But our pass 5, as you can see, this is one of the most important passes, will open on next Tuesday. So sorry if you can't see the date, Tuesday. And then Kingsland, as you can see, opens on Wednesday, which is another terrible day. Pass 4 is nice because it opened on Friday, but these opening on Tuesday and Wednesday is absolutely diabolical, honestly, by Lilith. So Pass 5 will be this zone right here. Pass 5 is this zone here. So we are taking control of this pass with our allies and entering here. 77 obviously holds these 2 passes. It is still undecided where 606 will show up. So it is possible that we do have a pretty big fight here if our allies, the G3 camp, comes down and helps fight us here. And 606 also joins and fights here. So this zone could be, I mean, obviously it'll probably be a 1v1 between 916 and 2377. It just depends if our allies will be joining us in this zone as well. But yeah, this zone will be very intense. I think this zone will be more intense than the first zone, but the first zone is great. Fantastic fighting, very fun. And I'm looking forward to the next pass and more fighting this KVK. So I'll definitely try to stream it, assuming I fix all my internet issues. But yeah, that is all for this one. If you have any questions, I maybe left something out which I should have talked about, let me know and I'll try to answer it in the comments below.